Okay guys, good morning to you all. This lesson is going to be about sectioning again. We're going to be looking at threads, blind holes, through holes, how to calculate thread depths, how to draw a bolt in a threaded hole in section. So, bit of revision. This is a good opportunity for you to learn a lot of the standard sizes and how to calculate them. And this does appear in the HS exam quite often, so we'll just get on with it. What's that smell? If you need to go to the bathroom, I'm quite happy to sign your diary, okay? Yeah, you'll need to stop that. It's like you're all here anyway. Okay, enough hilarity. Let's get on with it. Standard sizes for bolts. That PDF, this one here, this beautiful PDF here, that is going to be at the bottom of the page. Now, just remember that if you look at this page here, they have these calculations here. So when you get a standard size bolt, say like an M8 or an M12, which is metric 12, which is also, there's a video on how to size bolts on this page as well. You can calculate your sizes by just taking that dimension and multiplying it by the number that appears on the particular dimension. So if you want to work out how wide that the top of this bolt is, it's 0.7 times the diameter. Okay, so we've done this before, but all of these sizes are calculated using this diagram. And up here we've got a description of a through hole and a blind hole. So that'll be good revision for you too. Now, when you're drawing these holes, you will notice that the bottom of the hole here, the bottom of the hole has this triangle on it, and you might be wondering, why is there a triangle there? Okay, and why have we got this line across here? Okay, so I'm going to explain that quickly. That would be helpful. Well, the main reason for the triangle, of course, is that if you look at a drill bit, what's at the top of the drill bit? Can we see that? Yes, it's a triangle. So when you drill into a piece of material, what shape will the bottom of the hole be? Don't all answer at once. Yes, Felix? Yes, you've stopped doing that thing you were doing at the beginning of the lesson. It's very good. Yes, it's a triangle. Very good, Felix. So yes, it's a triangle. So let's just quickly draw that on the board. So when we've got our material, we drill a hole. And it's going to be a blind hole, so we're not going to drill all the way through. Let's make this a little bit thicker. So when we drill into the material, what's going to happen is, when we get to the bottom of the hole, it's going to be shaped, and this is the triangle's at a 120 degree. That's 120 degrees conventionally. And then after we drill the hole, and you've got a video on drilling and tapping, so you know, you'll be able to watch that video. What happens then is we tap the hole to a certain depth. Okay, so we'll be cutting thread all the way along here. Okay, and once we cut our thread in, okay, we draw a line across, because that is where the thread is ending, okay? And then we usually do a little line. But all of this information of how this is done is on this sheet here, okay? So we've got thread on either side, and where that line goes, the first line across is at the bottom of the thread, and then we go to the bottom of the hole. So this part from here to here, okay, is unthreaded, okay? And then this is the bottom of the hole. We draw a line across at the bottom of the hole because that's the beginning of where the hole turns into a triangle. And this line here is the bottom of the thread, okay? So I'm just wondering, Yes, you can see it. It's not perfectly clear. So that is what you need to know about thread, and all that information is on the sheet. We also have how to draw a tapped hole, okay? And that is there, okay? So we've got this is a cut thread, external, and this one here, that's the one with the thread inside it. Okay, so what we do is we draw our hole as a full circle, and you're going to use a compass to do that. And then we have our cross in the middle, and they've actually done, let's practice drawing it the same way they do in this diagram. A dot in the center, and then we have a line going this way, a line going this way, a line going this way, a line going this way. And then we go from here all the way around to here. And notice that there's a gap in here. So that's telling you that that is the thread. Okay, otherwise if you had two circles you wouldn't know which one's thread and which one's inner diameter and which one's outer diameter. So that's, if you look at the one for the actual bolt, the solid circle is on the outside. Okay, so this is a hole, threaded hole. Okay, but notice how we've drawn that. A lot of you are doing the circles. Dot in the center, line, 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 line. Sometimes you'll see a small T in the center as well. That's acceptable as well. Okay, but use a ruler. Okay, so I really want you to study this diagram today. This is why we're doing these exercises. Now I have given you a task to do, and I've done it in really simple steps. And I'm going to go through it on the board quickly. You're going to use a ruler, you're going to use a pencil and a rubber. You're going to do all your angles accurately. This is just to run you through the process. So these are the steps that are on your Exchange page. And I think you'll notice that they're written backwards because I'm using the front-facing camera, and for some reason it flips everything. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to write backwards. So everything is at the present moment is going to be in reverse. And I'm not going to take it into Premiere Pro and turn it around. But I think most of these diagrams are symmetrical, so we shouldn't have any issues, hopefully. So, what are we doing? First it says we have a steel block, dimensions 200 by 100 by 20 millimeters. Draw a top view. So you're going to go top view. Let's label it underneath. Go. It's going to be 200 by 100 okay, and then we don't need to draw the thickness because it's a top view. That's pretty simple. And then it says draw two holes in any location of your choice in this top. So I'm going to do a hole, make one hole 12 millimeters through hole, and the other a blind tapped 8 millimeter by 1 hole with a thread depth of 10 millimeters. Use the PDF below to learn how to draw the symbol for a tapped hole. Now we did the tapped hole symbol. So one of them is 12 millimeters. Now you can probably draw this to scale, or so you can go a scale could be 1 to 1, or you could do it half size, which would be 1 to 2. Remembering that you think of this as like a fraction. Okay. So we're going to do I'm going to do this first hole here, and that's going to be my 12 millimeter through hole. And remember that our symbol for a tapped hole has the broken line on the outside. So I draw that symbol there. Okay. And then my 8 millimeter hole I'm going to put here. Okay, and then obviously if this was this is my blind hole. Now this, if this was drawn from the other side, I would have done hidden lines for my my blind hole, because you wouldn't see it coming through the other side, but from the top view, it's going to look like that, okay? And then I've said here, show dimensions of each hole perpendicular from an edge. So what I'm saying there is I want you to draw a dimension here from the edge and give me a distance. So I'm going to say, I don't know, that's about, say, 50, okay? You're going to measure it, of course. And this one here, I want a dimension from the edge. So I might do this and say that's 70. Okay, so I've dimensioned to show what direction, what distance it is from the edge. Okay, what's the next step? Show dimensions of each hole perpendicular from the edge. I've done that. Draw a section line AA lengthwise across the top as a line of symmetry. So the center of this here is going to be what distance? It's going to be 50. Okay, so my sectioning line has to go across the center of the top. Okay, now you could be going straight through the holes if you wanted to make life really easy for yourself, but just remembering that in a section view, we're trying to show internal detail. So you're going to see, you're definitely going to see this one even though you haven't cut through it, okay? You wouldn't see this one. Now, I would suggest for your benefit and to make this exercise more interesting, I would put both of these holes on the side that you're going to be looking at the section of, okay? So that you have to put it in the diagram. Don't make it easy for yourself. You want to be able to see both those holes, okay, for this exercise to work. So already I've noticed a mistake in my instructions. Make sure your holes are on the same side. So when you section and look at the section, you're going to see both holes, okay? And so we're going to do a section line through here, okay? So what's the section line? A. So that is where we slice our block, okay? Then now draw a full section of this block below the top view showing its thickness and the tapped holes we created. So you can draw guidelines down from this top view, and this is going to be section, full section, AA, okay? So you're going to draw that section below, okay? So now we just, and we know that the dimension has a thickness, our block has a thickness of 20 mils. And we said that our tapped hole is going to be going down 100 mils. So we come down with, we'll have 100 mils of thread. And then of course, at the bottom of the hole, we have our triangle. That's our blind hole. And it would have to line up, so I've already done it in the wrong place. It would have to line up with where it is on this diagram, okay? Now make sure that you're using this diagram here to draw that blind hole, okay? It needs to be correct. You need to show where the thread stops and where the triangle at the bottom of the hole is. And then you draw a line down from here. This is the through hole. So we're going to draw the inner diameter first on the diagram. Then we're going to do our thread lines, both sides. Okay, what else do we need? We need a center line and a center line coming through, because we need to show our center lines. And obviously these need to be the right dimensions as well. And that's your full section AA. Okay, now what else do we need to do? We need to hatch. Do we hatch across the thread lines? Yes, we do, because there's no bolt in here. Okay, so that is a sectioned view of that thing. You're practicing drawing thread lines. You hatch over your thread lines because there's no bolts in here. And same deal over here. And you practice doing a blind hole. You've done guidelines coming down from your top diagram. You're following instructions on how to do this. Like I said, make sure both holes are on behind the section line, so you can see them both. Even though they're behind the section line and you're not cutting them, you still show them because they're internal detail. Okay, that's one of the things that happens with sectioning, which we should already know. And then the rest of this is draw the same section, so this section here, but with bolts inside it. Okay, now the bolt, working out the size of the head of, so you would now be putting a bolt in here, the head of a bolt, and you would have to draw a washer here and a nut, okay? And they all have sizes that I've asked you to put dimensions on. So I'm going to ask you to give me, you know, the thickness of this bolt and the width of the head as well, width of the nut, okay? The washer is going to be slightly bigger, so the dimensions of the washer. So you're going to be showing me this diagram again. So once without bolts in it, you're going to draw it again, probably below this diagram will probably be a good idea, but you're going to be drawing it with the bolt and the washer combination inside. Okay, that's what I want you to do. So you're still going to hatch it because it's still a section, but this time when you hatch, notice that I haven't hatched across my thread lines. Okay, why haven't I hatched across my thread lines? Because there's a bolt in here and the bolt is filling those thread lines, okay? And we don't hatch across bolts, and that's why we don't hatch across the thread lines, okay? So that is that part of the diagram. So you'll have this diagram with one will have a bolt in it that is not coming through, and then we hatch the whole thing. And once again, we don't hatch onto the bolt, the hole, or the thread lines. Okay, so this is practice at dimensioning and using that calculation that you are supposed to know. Okay, this is practice at knowing how to draw a blind hole and a through hole. I've shown you a drill bit to explain why it's triangular at the bottom. So hopefully all of that is starting to demystify. Please use this time to practice drawing. There's no point in just looking at this and saying, I know how to do it now. You need to draw. Okay, you need to nut out problems. Already when I've been looking at the drawings that have been submitted back to me, a lot of them have been very close to correct, but there has been errors. Okay, and the only way you learn how to do this is to learn from your errors. Okay, so that is the instructions. And then finally, I ask you to do the whole lot again, but this time I'm asking you to take two of those steel blocks and join them together. Now the only thing you need to know about that, okay, is that when you have two materials, all the through holes, all the stuff that I'm asking you to do is exactly the same. But if you're joining two materials with holes, okay, first thing you need to know is that if this material is different to the one below, that when you hatch, you need to hatch in the opposite direction. Okay, that's one thing you need to know. And then you're also going to be putting bolts in here, so you're not going to go across the thread lines. Okay, you go to a washer and a nut. So this will be practice at drawing heads of bolts. It'll be practice at drawing our nuts. It'll be practice at joining two materials, okay? And it'll be practice at following instructions as well. Anyway, give that a go, and please hit me up with questions. Be a bit more proactive about the whole process, because that is the only way you're going to learn anything from this. If you're struggling, please email me or send me what you've done so far and I can comment on it. And then we can go from there. Bye.